So today we're talking about automation, AI, and how to implement these powerful tools in your podcast. Really happy to be here with the Creators Collective. Let's get into it. So one of the things that I'm a big proponent of is getting podcasts to keep working. And one of the problems that we have with podcasting is there's so many dead shows. I think people underestimate how much work actually goes into launching and maintaining a podcast. And so I've been looking for solutions, ways to keep those podcasts rolling, because you have a voice, you have something to say, it's important, but we want to get that voice out there. And again, I got a little bit ahead of myself, but it's just too much work, as this little puppy understands. Hard at work, hard at work. But listen, y'all, it doesn't have to be that difficult. It doesn't need to be that hard. I've been in the industry about 4 years. I run a podcast production agency over at Savant Media. I've hosted the After Hours Entrepreneur, which is a globally ranked top 1% podcast. Thank you, Listen Notes. I appreciate the love. I produced hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes. I spent thousands of hours in the lab producing content. And again, today, I'm going to show you all the stuff. I'm going to open up the books. I'm going to open up the systems, the processes that I'm using to scale my business and to help other business owners scale their podcast production. So let's get into it. Wow, that is one handsome fellow right there. Wow, very cool. Very great. So I want to kind of start here by talking about some of the benefits of podcasting. Why would you even want a podcast? It helps build know, like, and trust. I'm a big proponent that you should have one place where your long form content lives and one place where your short form, highly engaged content live. Think podcasting and Instagram. Think YouTube and TikTok. You need the long form, you need the short form. They perform different roles. Podcasting also is an incredibly powerful way of building your network, getting in contact, reaching out, getting conversations with people you might not normally have access to. It's a powerful lead generation tool. You can establish credibility and status in your industry. I think it's one of the best ways. You can also develop income from it. I generate about $1,500 a month through sponsorships on my show. Took me a long time to get there, by the way. I'm very proud of that. It's also really powerful for creating your own SEO engine, creating backlinks that send people back to your website. And we know that if you're not on the top page of Google, your business doesn't exist. Sorry to break it to you. That's why everyone uses AAA when they were trying to create businesses in the yellow pages, because you want to rank in the top. You need to, if you're not on the first page of Google, you don't exist. Sorry. And what, again, we're going to talk a lot about today is how to turn that podcast into a content machine. Has anyone ever heard this before, that you need to create content for social media? Have you heard of this thing before? Yeah. The podcast is the engine of your entire social media machine. But again, people get worn out. It's taken me years to refine these strategies, so I'm going to give you a quick head start. And, you know, when Liza asked me to host this event, I was thinking about, we could talk about podcasting. We talk about how to start your branding, how to get your messaging tight. We talk about hardware, software, descriptions, titles, RSS feeds, promotions, editing, all that. That stuff is boring. I'm sorry. That's been done a million times before. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about not what's worked for the last 10 years. I want to talk about what's going to work for the next 10 years. I don't care about what's worked in the past. I don't care. I don't care that you were using billboard ads. I don't care. I want to know what's next, what's hot. And you're going to walk away with some practical tips here today, because I want to change your life. I want to change your workflow. And I think that you're going to be surprised what you can do, because AI changes everything. It absolutely changes everything. And I know there's a big hype train. Jane had a comment here that she's concerned that AI is just the next NFT hype train, that it's all just some sort of big bubble that's going to burst. But I'll tell you this. I was an early adopter in AI, so I saw a lot of how that worked. AI is completely different. It's completely different, because AI can change your business today. NFTs is a huge project. You have to learn a ton. You got to learn how to set up wallets and all this stuff. Very confusing, very difficult. AI is something that you can use within 5 minutes and see a result. And that's what we're going to talk about today, some different techniques. Right. So when I look at podcast production, I kind of break it down into all these following steps, right? You've got your administrative stuff, which is kind of like your booking of guests, your pre-interview stuff, doing all of your research. You've got your production phase of the podcast, which is creating all the the assets, the clips, the posts, the graphics, the video, the audio, your show notes, your titles, and then there's your promotion, getting it all pushed out across social media, your blog, your website, maybe it's your email list. And so I'm going to go through all these steps and just kind of be transparent here and where I'm using AI, where I'm using automation. I'm going to walk you through specifics. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the gaps, the things that I'm looking out for, the things that I'm watching for. Thanks, Gene Angelo. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. And by the way, all these images are AI generated too. They're all AI generated. And I'm going to walk you, we're going to touch on how you can do that too. It's simple. All these images, I created 100 images in 5 minutes. Pretty interesting. All right, let's get into it. And I love this picture here because AI really gives me the feeling that I have an extra hand that's working all the freaking time. And, we all have 2 hands as humans. How do we get 20 hands, 40 hands, 80 hands? That's what I'm interested in. Okay, so, and again, if y'all want to slow down, I'm happy to pop open my screen and do some demos in real time. We've got time, happy to do that. But when I look at the first step, I'm looking at the finding guest step. And you might say, Mark, I don't know where to start. Or you might say, Mark, I've already got a ton of guests. I don't need this. That's cool. But I want to talk a little bit about the research power of ChatGPT. So this is a really simple example where I can go into ChatGPT and I say, hey, give me a list of 20 marketing experts that are frequently guesting on podcasts. By the way, you don't need to stop at 20. You could say 100, 500, 1,000. It will give them to you. And so it's going to list out names of a bunch of marketing experts that are in podcasts, but this will work for your industry. You could ask it for frequent, it could be anything. It could be gardeners, chefs, SEO experts, whatever your business is, funnel hackers. ChatGPT is going to give you a list of frequent experts. And I do just want to preface this by saying, as of this moment in April 2023, ChatGPT is using data from 2021. But by the time, honestly, this is going to just continue to evolve. Every day, this stuff transforms and gets better. So anyway, this is pretty cool. You might say, Mark, I already know all these people, but guess what? Next step, ChatGPT, how can I find these people? Do you have links to their websites? Boom. Links to every single one of their websites. You can actually go through this yourself or give this to your virtual assistant. You can even use ChatGPT to create your pitch, your script. And then you can scale this up infinitely by getting 100 websites for 100 perfect guests and then hire an assistant or maybe train your AI to send out these emails automatically. I haven't figured that out. I'm working on it. Pretty cool. Is anyone using this, by the way? Is anyone using ChatGPT for research like this? My man Simon in the hizzy for shizzy. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I want to talk about the booking guest workflow. And you might say, Mark, that's a hell of a lot of arrows. I don't know what the heck I'm looking at here. Let me walk you through it. So once you found somebody that actually wants to book a part on your show, once they've agreed that they want to be a guest on your show, you're going to send them to your booking link. Now, you could use Calendly. That's what I use. There's a ton of other apps as well. But what you're going to do is once somebody's booked in Calendly, you're going to connect it with Zapier. Who's using Zapier in your workflow? Zapier can be a little bit complicated to set up, but once you've done the initial work, it is tremendous. Zapier is a really powerful software for integrating multiple apps together. Apps that might not normally communicate with one another, Zapier uses the API functionality to connect all these apps together. Again, I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs with Zapier today because that would be an entirely different, we could spend hours on that. It'd be an entirely different presentation, but Zapier is a super powerful tool. So one of the things that I've recently been made aware of, and I'm working on now, is integrating ChatGPT into that automated workflow, right? So this is what it looks like for me. Someone books with Calendly, Zapier sends that information out through ChatGPT to Google Docs, to Google Sheets. It's going to create the production workflow in Monday, and it's going to notify all the relevant people in Slack. I have a team of 6 to 9 people now, depending on the subcontractor, depending on the project. So Zapier is going to set all the wheels in motion for my production. One of the things I love about Zapier and automation is you don't have to worry about human error. Anyone that's working with teams understands that sometimes humans make mistakes. I know this is a revelation. Humans make mistakes. Once you get the automation rolling and it's set, it ain't going to make mistakes, which is pretty cool. You don't have to worry about that. The next thing I think that's important is the better your prompts, the better your inputs, the more proficient you are with prompt engineering, the better your results are going to be. So what I'm looking at with Calendly, what I'm trying to figure out is what are the best questions to ask so that ChatGPT can automate things like titles, automate things like potential questions for that guest, automate things like proposed descriptions and bios. Oh, the other cool thing with ChatGPT and AI is it can mimic your voice. The more you work with it, the more you train it, the better it's going to be at mimicking the way that you talk. So it won't sound like a robot. It will sound like you. Because the better your input, the better your output, baby. Wow, that's one handsome astronaut. All right. So let's look at, I'm going to move over to the production phase. Everyone with me so far? Any questions? Anyone using any of these automations? Feel free to type in the chat, raise your hand. I want to be interactive here. Jean Angelo, what you got, brother?
So I use Zapier. So anytime like a new client is onboarded, as soon as this one was such a bitch to set up and it's still not perfect. But anytime that they finish like the Notion doc, like the massive like onboarding questionnaire, that captures all their assets and login codes and things like that, it automatically creates an Asana task for my designer to fill everything out. And so, which is great because she lives on the other side of the planet. And so as much as I love staying up late to like hand, create all of those like SOPs and stuff, or not create the hand SOPs, but like copy and paste them over and over and over again. I'm glad that I don't have to worry about that anymore. For the most part,
100%.
I still need to like work out some kinks with it because Zapier is like, if you've ever used it, you know what I'm talking about. Like it's an absolute like monster.
It can be a little overwhelming at first. I agree. But once you've like figured out one zap, the second one gets easier, the third one gets easier. But it really blows my mind all the different automations and integrations that there are.
Oh yeah, it's insane. Like there's a massive learning curve, but like once you get it, like it can automate a lot of stuff for sure.
I feel, personally, like I've just really scraped the surface of what Zapier can do. And just the other day in the mastermind group that I lead, a bunch of the members are using AI, using Zapier, trying different things. And one of the members shared this workflow that was obscenely powerful. It was this, let me go back here. He was basically explaining how he was using ChatGPT, and I'll kind of go into a little bit more detail on this now because I haven't perfected this, but this is essentially what he was doing. Based on the questions that he was asking and based on the answers that the guest was giving, he was getting the description written all in automation for the podcast before the podcast even done. Because he had incorporated ChatGPT into his automation, it was able to give him the title, the description. It was able to make a custom bio because one of the questions he asked was, give me your bio. What's the name of your business? What's the problem that your company solves? What are your links? It automates the entire description part. Pretty nifty. Pretty nifty. Great share, Jen. So let's look at production here. So, and we could go into more. I'm going to do a little bit of demoing here because there's some cool stuff going on. By the way, I have affiliate links for some of these programs. So, if you want to give me a little pat on the back, I appreciate that. So anyway, I want to look at some of the pain points, some of the reasons, some of the ways that people get held up when it comes to production. The first of which is audio editing. Right? Has anyone edited audio or video before? It can be very laborious, very time consuming. Descript is a really powerful tool. Quite frankly, I don't use it a lot because I have a team that does it for me. But I want to show you real quick one of the cool things you can do with Descript. One of the reasons why I find audio editing is so laborious is because you have to listen to every damn word of the episode. Descript is cool because you don't have to listen. You can actually read. So for example, if after I've uploaded my video, if I decide, I don't want to include this section, I can just go in and delete it. I'm not going to delete it because that might screw up my team's workflow. I might also see like, I want to remove the uhs, the ums, the you knows from my episode. You can actually search for it in here, and it'll show you all the points where the word was used. And you can very easily edit that out of your, not just your audio, but your video as well. You'll see this, there's a video. So this does both. Just one quick word of warning for anyone that's considering using this is if you just go through and just delete all the ums and all the you knows, it doesn't, I think, give the best listener experience. It can kind of sound like the record is skipping. One of the reasons we use the word is as a filler word to keep the cadence of our conversation going. So if you remove the it kind of screws up that natural cadence that somebody has. At any rate, a very powerful tool for audio and video editing and something to keep in mind. Oh, another cool thing is you can actually insert your own text here. So for example, I could go in here and write, thank you for having, let me see if I can do this. Now, I don't know how to do it right now because, again, my team does this for me. I apologize. But basically what you can do is you can add additional text and it will mimic the voice. It will add that voice in there. So for example, if I wanted to add something like, what's up, Mark? Thank you for having me on the After Hours Entrepreneur podcast. It will actually mimic the guest's voice and insert that piece of audio into the episode, which is a pretty powerful tool. Again, I don't know exactly how to do it because that's why I pay a team to do it, but pretty powerful tool. Pretty cool. Descript. A clip production. I see a couple people, Jane, Nate, you're using CapCut. Congratulations. We're on the cutting edge, baby. Let's go. Let's go. CapCut, really powerful tool for clipping out, editing, using AI to create show notes for your video. One of the things that, transcriptions and subtitles. One of the things that is really kind of a pain in the butt for creating video is creating like interesting and compelling subtitles. Now, a lot of these platforms like TikTok, LinkedIn, they'll insert subtitles for you automatically, but they look like poop. One of the things that CapCut does, it'll make words pop. It'll find different, special words and help them to kind of blow up. So if there's one thing that's important with social media production, it's creating pattern interrupts. It's creating imagery and sounds and images, which is the same thing as imagery. But what it does is it's going to help you make your videos more compelling. So CapCut, super cool tool. If you have no experience with video editing, very, very easy to use. For graphics, again, all these images of me were generated using this Lensa app. Very easy to use, very cool. Yeah, super interesting. Super interesting. Yeah, Zach here states, I like to script for finding a specific part of the podcast by using Command F. Again, powerful tool. And honestly, I didn't know that until just now. Part of the reason why you need to be in mastermind calls because you walk away learning something every day. Midjourney is also a very, very interesting tool. Has anyone played with Midjourney at all? So Midjourney is a graphic editor or a graphic generator. And basically what you're able to do is you're able to type in words like, draw me a picture of a cat on a rocket ship in Norman Rockwell style. And it will create images that look like that. And they are amazing. They are bananas. They are super cool. I've even seen people leveraging ChatGPT to create interesting prompts for Midjourney. I'm not going to go into using Midjourney today, but very, very interesting way of creating like really compelling images. Very, very interesting. Jane here with a great question. Would you say it's necessary to publish a podcast in video and audio format? The answer is no. It is not necessary. Y'all, if y'all have ever heard of Russell Brunson, if anyone's heard from him, he has a podcast. I think it's called Traffic Secrets, something like that. But when he started his podcast, he started it straight from his phone using the Anchor app. And what he would do is he would just record his podcast while driving to work. Driving to the office, records the podcast, launches it. I've done this before too. Don't Don't do this while you're driving, but maybe at the stoplights, you can post it. But the answer is no. The answer is no. And I find that one of the best ways to use a podcast is to document your journey. Obviously, there's different. When I look at podcasting, that's one strategy. I'm just going to document, I'm going to post this, people can listen to me. The flip side of podcasting, what I'm interested in is how can I help a business turn a podcast into their entire media presence? They're like we kind of mentioned before. And if you're just recording this on your phone, just straight audio, you're not going to get the clips, the graphics, the shorts, the long form video. You're not going to get your blog. So you're kind of missing out on some of the max value. But that's a way to do it. One of the things that I do with clients also is they'll record the podcast in video form using a program like Zoom, for example. But what they'll do on the we'll just produce the long form as an audio podcast, and we'll just create clips with the video portion. So there's different ways you can go. There's different ways you can go through that, Jane. That's a different way of looking at it. I want to talk about Swell AI just for a minute, which I do have an affiliate code for if you want to try this out. I'll put a link below for everyone watching the replay. But Swell AI is a really, really spectacular tool. And I want to kind of share what this looks like, because this has been one of my favorite tools for production here. So what Swell AI is a copywriting generator. And what you do is after you've completed your audio episode, you upload it into Swell. And what it's going to do, I can't tell you how much time and money this app has saved me. It's absolutely bananas. What it's going to do first, it's going to give me a transcript of the entire episode, which I can download as an SRT file, right? In layman's terms, these are all the subtitles for your episode. I'm going to kind of skip over some of these to look at the more, I think, pertinent ones here. It creates articles. So it's going to take that audio. It's going to use AI to generate articles that you can use for your website. So, for example, this is an entire blog article. It's a little short. I might add to this, but blog article, turn your social media into cash. Boom, article. And I could use ChatGPT to expand on this. There's some different things that I could do. And it's going to give me about 4, 5, maybe even 6 articles. Look at all this text. Is this unbelievable to you? This freaking blew me away when I started using this. It's shocking. Show notes. It's giving me timestamp show notes of different inflection points. This is, I think, a really important thing to do when you're on YouTube is, hey, I don't care about the competence of DMs. I care about establishing credibility. I'll skip to the 41-minute mark, right? It also gives me keywords. Is anyone posting stuff on their website and you need SEO and you need to figure out what are the keywords? Is anyone posting stuff to YouTube and want to know what the tags are, what the best tags are for your video? I mean, this gives you a huge step up. Social media, JK Molina, Tweet Hunter, Twitter, Instagram. It's giving you all the damn keywords right there. It's crazy. It's crazy. Timestamps we talked about a little bit just in that show notes section. It's even going to give me a summary, which I find to be a pretty effective start of the description of your podcast episodes and the summaries. And it's even going to give you proposed titles that you can play with. So extremely powerful tool, extremely powerful. If you're looking at getting set up, I've got a discount code for you. So I'll throw that up here at the end of the episode. Is this interesting to anybody? Is anyone like, wow, that's powerful? I've had a couple meetings with the developers of this app. And one of the things I love about the developers of this app is they are very hungry. They keep rolling out new features all the time. They've just rolled out an AI chatbot feature so that if you have questions on, let's say someone watches the episode or listens to the episode and they have a question like, how can I write better DM copy? And you can ask the AI chatbot that, and it will actually respond back based on the content of the episode. It's going to interpret the content of the episode and it's going to answer people back. I haven't started playing with this. It just launched, I believe, on Monday, a couple days ago. But that's just one of the integrations that they've been working on. And in addition, they're finding a lot of ways to make it easier for us as podcast hosts and creators to make this easier. And again, if you hold off to the end, I have a bunch of links for you. So you don't have to kind of run. But anyway, super powerful, Super powerful tool. All right, let's get back. So these are just some of the tools that I'm using in production. And I do want to stress this, that there are new tools coming out literally every day, probably every few minutes. I mean, it's crazy. We're kind of in this gold rush right now, which, to Jane's point, feels kind of like a bubble. The difference with this bubble is there's a ton of value inside that bubble. So at any rate, this is something I've been looking at very closely, is what's new, what's hot, what's working for people. I want to try to incorporate that into my business. Keep moving on. So we're talking, I want to move into the promotion phase of your podcast, which means, well, what do I do with all this content? And these are just a few of the workflows. I also have a meeting with another AI developer on Friday who has a tool that I'll just kind of explain how it works. You upload your video. It's going to go through the video and pick out, using AI, pick out 5 to 6 different key moments. It's going to create clips based on those key moments, which you can use various templates. You can customize your templates within the app. And then get this, it integrates with social media. So you can actually schedule out the post to social media all within the app. I can't tell you how much time this is going to save me and my team, doing all the editing, all the adjusting, and the integration into these social media apps. I was kind of blown away. I don't want to talk about it. I want to promote it here in this video yet, because I just don't know enough about it. I haven't gotten my hands dirty with it, but that's just an example of some of the stuff that's happening. So, we just talked about Swell AI. It's giving you a bunch of content for social media. So really easy to use that. And, when we talk about the blog, we talk about email. This is another one of the workflows that I'm working on, is your guest books in Calendly. It leverages ChatGPT and Zapier integration to fill out an entire Google Doc full of content. And the better you are at kind of programming this automation, you can program it to give you the description, the titles, the blog article, the emails. These are a couple different ways that you can automate and leverage the AI to scale your production. And by the way, I just want to point out that a lot of the parts in this process do require a human touch right now. But these tools empower your team to be way more efficient, way more effective. Does anyone here, do you work with people overseas? Yeah. A lot of people overseas, they might not, well, English is probably not their first language. And quite frankly, English is really hard to type in. You can ask my 6-year-old daughter. She's been trying to figure out how to spell the word roar for the past several weeks. It's a tricky word because you've got OAR, you've got OOR, you've got ORE. I digress. There's a lot of weird stuff in English. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens there. But what these tools will do is they empower people that maybe don't type very well in English. Maybe they're at a level 3. This brings them from a level 3 to level 8 immediately. The better you are at training your team and helping them to apply these tools, the more effective they will be. You can maybe trim down from 5 team members to 1 or 2. I just want to repeat that. You could maybe trim down from 5 team members to 1 or 2, because one person who knows how to engineer prompts, they can just be, it's like they all of a sudden go from having 2 hands to 10 hands. It's unreal. I can't tell you how much of a pain point this has been for me in my agency, is scaling up copywriting. And now it's all automated. It's just unreal. Now, I want to talk about some of the considerations here. Right? Some of the considerations, not just how serious this guy looks here. He looks very serious. I don't know if this is like Assassin's Creed here with no mask. I don't know. He looks very serious, but I think there are some serious considerations that we need to have when it comes to what's happening with AI. The first of which is copyright ownership. This has been a big kind of a question mark. If Midjourney is creating images, who owns that? Do you own it? Does Midjourney own it? Where does copyright begin and end? This is a big question mark. It has not been solved. SEO downranking. If there have been reports of people just copy and pasting ChatGPT essays, taking it to school, and the teacher runs it through a program like Writer and is able to identify that it's been written by AI. So I've heard different opinions on this. Some people have said that they think that the AI generated content actually improves the SEO. Some have said it downranks the SEO. I've heard mixed reports. I can't be definitive on this. What I will say is if you want to trick the computers, here's a hack. Go through your copywriting and just change out every 7th or 8th word with a synonym. So, for example, maybe my post is how to record better podcast. I might do something like how to create better podcast. Just use synonyms, change out synonyms every 7 to 8 words, because the way what AI does is it's a predictive text model. Okay, so after every word, it's trying to predict what is the best next word. So by changing out words with synonyms, it kind of tricks the AI into not following that predictive text. The next question is human impact. Walmart announced that 63% of its stores are going to be fully automated by 2026. That's 3 years from now. Fully automated. There's already Amazon stores that you can just walk in, grab a banana, and walk out. You don't even need to pull out your wallet. So AI automation tech is going to change the job market as we know it. I believe, though, that the people that adopt the technology, you're going to win. You're going to win if you adopt it. If you put your head in the sand and don't adopt it, you're going to be at massive risk because your competitors are using it. You're not going to be able to keep up. You're just not going to be able to keep up. And I think the last consideration I have with AI is what's real versus what is fake. Am I being messaged by a chat bot? I'll give you an example. I just heard yesterday that there was a mother who got a phone call from her daughter, quote unquote, saying, "Hey, I'm in trouble. I need money. Please send money." And she said, "This is my daughter. I got to send my daughter money." Guess what? That wasn't your daughter. That was AI. That was an AI generated text. By the way, I've recorded an entire episode of the After Hours Entrepreneur, fully AI generated. AI wrote the title, wrote the description. I uploaded it to an AI platform called 11 Labs. I trained 11 Labs to speak in my voice. It sounds exactly like me. The entire episode was completely AI generated. Completely AI generated. I can't, it's really striking. I'll give you another example. I saw a video the other day of the president of the United States, Joe Biden, giving a speech. And as he walks off stage, you can hear him say in his own voice, "Do you think those idiots bought that load of crap?" Joe didn't say that. It was an AI text mechanism that was simulating his voice. So we're only at the tip of the iceberg. I could give you a bunch of other examples. This is one of the bigger fears that I have is how do we interpret what's real and what's fake? And I don't know the answer to that. These are all things that I think are being figured out right now. So I just want to give you a couple quick takeaways here. One, this stuff is evolving very, very rapidly. Oh, Simon Brunel here says people are already replacing people's face on videos. 100%. I'll give you an example of that. There was a very famous female Twitch streamer that had her face transposed onto porn. So now you've got porn with this person. This is just a regular person who now is on the internet doing unspeakable acts or having unspeakable acts done to her, and it wasn't her. So this type of stuff is just coming out over and over and over again. There's another AI app that I heard the other day, which can change the way your eyes are looking. Anyone that's creating video online, you realize that you need to talk to the camera, you need to speak to the camera. But that can be hard if you're reading off the screen. This AI app will change it so that it looks like your eyes are actually not reading, but they're looking at the camera. So there's just stuff that's happening all the time. It's pretty bananas. Gene Angelo, one of my guilty pleasures is watching YouTube shorts of AI generated chats between Biden, Trump, and Obama playing Call of Duty. That's amazing. I've seen that. That's so funny. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, extremely powerful, evolving rapidly. And if you don't adopt it, you're going to lose your competitive advantage. Now is the time. Now is the time. And I've given you a bunch of examples here today. This is different from NFTs. The AI changes everything because we are living in a digital world. I've touched on a handful of apps here today. If you go to marksavantmedia.com/AI, I have a list of more apps that we are using with practical use cases. So you can download my list there at marksavantmedia.com/AI. marksavantmedia.com/AI. If you're wanting to go deeper, I'm getting very focused on this on my podcast. Like I said, I don't care what worked 10 years ago. That doesn't matter. It's a different game now. I'm interested in what's working moving forward. And by the way, if you are using AI in your business, I want to know about it. You can send an email to mark@marksavantmedia.com, mark@marksavantmedia.com. I have an open call for guests right now. I typically charge $400 a guest. I'm opening it up right now because I'm hungry to learn what's happening, what's working, what's new. I'm looking for practical use cases. And I'm going to be doing a lot more demos on my YouTube channel, Mark Savant Media. And I also just want to implore you that the biggest reason I think people are not adopting this stuff is they feel like it takes too long to learn it. This video here walks you through how I write blogs in 15 minutes, 1,500 word blogs in 15 minutes. The video is 7 minutes long. So you can pull up the video on one screen, chat GPT on the next screen. And that's what I'm going for. I want to give you this stuff quickly. Who's got time to watch a 45-minute video? It's tough to find that kind of time. 7 minutes though might change your life. So anyway, that's the type of stuff I'm going to be bringing you on my YouTube channel. And then the last thing that I'll just mention is I do run a mastermind group. We meet Mondays and Thursdays. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about how to implement AI, what's working, what's not working. This stuff is moving so quickly. By the time, some of this stuff is going to be not obsolete, but it's going to be different next week. So this is something that I feel very strongly about. So if you're interested in this, you can email me, mark@marksavantmedia.com.